Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're navigating the absolutely grueling journey of the USMLE, clinical rotations, and just the overwhelming residency application process in general, you already know that securing an interview is really only half the battle, right? The interview itself is where the actual match happens. So today we're going to transform all that interview anxiety into a rock-solid strategic framework. We're diving deep into the data and the trends behind what program directors actually want so you can literally dominate this match season. Let's get into it.
To keep this super efficient, we've broken this guide down into 4 high-yield movements. 1. Your clinical identity. 2. The IMG edge and resilience. 3. Proving fit and teamwork. And 4. Execution. Okay, so before we jump into the specifics, I want you to keep a foundational concept in mind throughout this whole explainer. Think of the what they want side of an interview question as the interviewer's diagnostic criteria. It's what the program director is internally testing for when they ask you something. On the flip side, the how to answer part, well, that's your precise treatment plan. When you truly understand the diagnosis behind their question, your treatment plan, your answer, becomes incredibly clear and highly targeted. All right, Section 1, your clinical identity. This is all about crafting your core narrative and establishing exactly who you are as a clinician from the second you log on to that virtual interview. So it's the most inevitable opening question in the world, right? Tell me about yourself. And yet somehow it triggers absolute panic in so many brilliant medical students. When you hear this, remember the diagnosis we just talked about. Programs just want a concise introduction to your background and your career direction. They absolutely do not want a chronological recitation of your CV. I mean, they've already read your application, right? They want to know the actual person behind the paper.
So what's your treatment plan here? You're going to use this incredibly effective present, past, future structure. Start with who you are right now, pivot briefly to the past training that shapes you, and then seamlessly transition into your future direction. And the data actually shows us a clear trend here regarding attention spans. You really need to keep your answer tight. We're talking ideally between 60 to 90 seconds. You got to finish by pivoting to why you're pursuing this specific specialty, because that naturally leads the interviewer right into their next logical question.
The absolute ultimate goal of your introduction is to present a cohesive, memorable narrative rather than just rattling off a laundry list of accomplishments. In this moment, you are a storyteller, and the story is your personal path to medicine. Now, let's tackle that vital follow-up, why this specialty? The diagnosis here is that programs are desperately looking for genuine motivation and a clear pattern of experiences that fit the field. They want to see lasting confidence. So, your treatment plan is to completely shift away from just claiming, oh, I like the specialty, to actually proving it. You do this by sharing one deeply meaningful patient encounter or clinical experience, connecting it directly to your repeated hard work, and showing how it perfectly aligns with your future goals.
Think about it like this. Your specialty choice should feel earned, not random. If you follow this structure, connecting a specific, real-world patient story to your long-term goals, your clinical identity becomes completely undeniable to the selection committee. You aren't just applying anywhere, you are arriving at your natural destination.
Moving right along to Section 2, the IMG edge and resilience. This is all about owning your story. For international medical graduates and applicants with non-traditional paths, there are definitely unique hurdles. But more importantly, there are incredible advantages you need to highlight. When a program asks, why choose you? Especially as an IMG, they are fundamentally diagnosing your readiness for the rigors of residency. They're looking for your unique value and, crucially, your confidence. But, without crossing over into arrogance, they just really want to know that you can smoothly handle the transition to the U.S. healthcare system.
So your optimal treatment plan here is to frame your international experience exactly as what it is, a massive asset. You want to specifically highlight your immense work ethic, any U.S. clinical exposure or observerships you've knocked out, and your strong communication skills. You need to show them how navigating a totally different healthcare system, or maybe even studying medicine in a second language, has given you an unparalleled level of grit and adaptability.
I cannot stress this enough. Own your IMG story with absolute confidence. Never, ever apologize for your background. Your unique perspective, your cultural confidence, and the sheer determination it literally took just to pass the USMLEs and get into that interview chair, that is exactly what makes you a resilient, highly valuable asset to their hospital.
Okay, now we have to talk about the elephant in the room, red flags. You might get asked, can you explain this gap or this attempt on your record? When you're addressing these weaknesses, the program's diagnostic criteria center entirely on 3 things:
honesty, accountability, and evidence of growth. Look, they aren't looking for perfection. They are testing your emotional maturity.
So, here is your crucial treatment plan. Respond directly. Be brief and make absolutely no excuses. Do not blame the test, don't blame your school or your circumstances. Simply explain exactly what you changed, your study habits, your focus, your overall approach, to guarantee that this failure will never happen again. And always end with the lesson learned.
Remember, a weakness handled well can actually build a ton of trust. Reflection matters way more than perfection here. Owning your missteps and proving how you've grown from them shows the exact kind of profound emotional maturity that program directors are literally desperate for in their residents.
All right, Section 3, Proving Fit and Teamwork. This is the strategic match. Having established your identity and your resilience, we're now pivoting outward to prove that you are the absolute perfect fit for their specific team. You're definitely going to face behavioral questions. And the most common one is usually, tell me about a time you faced a conflict with a team member. Here, interviewers are diagnosing your communication skills under stress. They want to see your professional behavior and your fundamental ability to play well with others when the pressure is really on.
Your tactical response here has got to utilize the STAR method. First, clearly outline the situation and task, just to give them some context. Then, describe the action you took, but keep the focus entirely on calm, respectful communication. Finally, detail the result, highlighting the ultimate positive benefit to the patient or the team. And golden rule here, never ever speak poorly of a former colleague or attending. This bottom line truth from the source data is a serious reality check. Programs hire teammates, not solo performers. Residency is incredibly taxing, and let's be honest, brilliant but abrasive candidates just do not survive the match process. You have to demonstrate that you are someone they actually want to be working with at 2 a.m. on a really tough call shift. And hey, teamwork goes both ways. When it's your turn to ask questions at the end of the interview, you need to show you're evaluating them as a team too. Show some curiosity and preparation by asking smart questions about how feedback is given to residents, what kind of mentorship systems are in place, and how they actively build their culture. Deliberately avoid anything that sounds self-centered, focuses purely on salary, or asks basic stuff you could have easily found on their website. Good questions make you memorable for all the right reasons. Which brings us to our final section, Section 4. Execution, the final interview checklist. Let's ground all this theory into some highly practical execution for your actual interview day. Because let's face it, strategy without execution is really just theory. There are absolutely non-negotiable steps you must take to secure your spot, and we can easily break this down into 3 distinct phases: what you do before, during, and after the interview. I want you to follow this exact protocol. Before the interview, research the program deeply and test your tech, your audio, and your lighting setup well in advance. Seriously, don't let a bad microphone ruin your first impression. During the interview, focus on being clear, warm, and professional. Deliver those structured answers using the frameworks we've discussed, and ask your thoughtful questions. Then, after the interview, immediately send a short, professional thank you note if the program allows it. Take just 10 minutes to reflect on how you did, and critically, update your rank list notes right away while your impressions of the program's culture are still completely fresh. Remember, preparation turns nerves into clarity. One single, incredibly strong interview truly can change the trajectory of your entire season. So take these frameworks, own your clinical identity and your totally unique journey, and go conquer the match. But before you go, I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder as you log off from your next big interview. Now that you've shown them exactly why you are the perfect fit, based on their culture and their answers to your smart questions, where does this program truly belong on your final rank list? Keep evaluating, keep striving, and thanks for joining me on this explainer.